For the past 15 years, there has been an ongoing conflict between humans and demons. The human's most skilled fighter, known as Hero, embarks on a mission to put an end to the war by confronting the Demon King, the supposed leader of the demon army. However, upon reaching the castle, Hero discovers that the Demon King is actually a female monarch who has been eagerly anticipating their meeting. Rather than engage in battle, the Queen expresses her desire to engage in dialogue with Hero. During their conversation, she reveals that the war has resulted in several benefits for both sides, as it has brought their races together to combat a common adversary and bolstered their economies. Despite this, the war has enabled the powerful and corrupt to exploit the vulnerable, especially the less affluent southern human kingdoms, that must continue to fight the demons in exchange for financial aid and sustenance from the more prosperous central kingdoms. Additionally, regardless of the outcome of the war or its abrupt end, it will inevitably lead to a catastrophic civil war, much to Hero's dismay. However, the Queen has developed a plan to establish long-lasting peace and prosperity for both their races, and has asked for Hero's assistance. Convinced by her vision, Hero agrees, and they both pledge their devotion to each other's cause. Upon their arrival in the human realm through teleportation, the Queen and Hero make their way to a quaint farming village called Winter Pass. With the aid of her most trusted servant, Headmaid, they secure lodgings in a lavish villa. To buy time in their war efforts, rumors are disseminated that Hero and the Demon King had engaged in a fierce battle and are recuperating from their wounds. Headmaid arranges for the Queen to adopt the persona of a human noblewoman known as Crimson Scholar. The Crimson Scholar endeavors to convince the village elder to adopt a 4-field crop rotation system to increase agricultural productivity, but her efforts prove futile. One evening, while at the stables, they encounter 2 young sisters who are fleeing from a life of serfdom. Despite Hero's willingness to aid them, Headmaid initially rejects their plea, deeming them to be as helpless as insects. However, the sisters implore Headmaid to teach them how to behave like humans, and she agrees, realizing they can be of service to her at the villa. As the sisters receive instruction from the scholar, she also imparts knowledge to the sons of a noble, a warrior, and a merchant, enlightening them on the consequences of war on society, and hoping to broaden their perspectives. Through her classes, the scholar earns another audience with the village elder, intending to sway him using a secret weapon. Several months have passed since the village implemented the scholar's innovative farming techniques. Crimson Scholar and Hero, now disguised as the White Swordsman, meet with the nun in charge of the Lake Convent in Lake Nation, only to discover her true identity as Female Knight, a former member of Hero's party. To explain Hero's sudden disappearance, Crimson Scholar fabricates a tale of finding him gravely injured after his battle with the Demon King. She saved his life, and in return, he pledged to protect her. Female Knight informs them that Archer joined the service of one of the royal families in the southern kingdoms, while Female Magician embarked on a journey to the demon realm in search of Hero. The scholar reveals her hidden weapon, a crop called potatoes, previously unknown in the human realm. She educates Female Knight on its benefits and urges her and the church to teach people in the southern countries to cultivate it, an offer to which Female Knight readily agrees. Meanwhile, the Merchant Alliance Guild receives a gift from the scholar, a dry compass. After realizing its potential value, they strategize to monopolize it. Back at the villa, Hero decides to venture into the demon realm to search for Female Magician. Before he departs, the Queen presents him with an imposing black armor and orders him to use it while posing as an enforcer under her authority, allowing him to establish connections with trustworthy demon leaders. It's now fall season since Hero left, and Female Knight is teaching swordsmanship to Crimson Scholar's students at the villa. Young Merchant from the Alliance visits Scholar, and she tells him about a new crop called corn which can increase food production if the Alliance funds it. Even though Scholar's goal is to end the war peacefully, which might be seen as treacherous, Young Merchant accepts her proposition. He also proposes to Scholar before leaving, which embarrasses her. In the Winter Kingdom, Winter Prince tells his butler, who is actually Archer, about how Scholar's crops and ideas have helped the South become economically independent from Central. It has been 6 months since Hero left for the demon realm and gained some demon allies. However, the Queen is anxious and unaware that Hero has been secretly teleporting back to the villa to see Chief Maid and confess his desire to become useful to her. Meanwhile, Central orders the southern nations to assemble a big naval fleet to recapture Aurora Island, the only demon-controlled territory in the human world. In the demon realm's gateway city, Hero saves a barmaid from the human soldiers and finds out that the demons have been mistreated by most of the human army except those guarding the eastern fortress. The human expeditionary fleet sent to retake Aurora Island fails miserably due to the incompetence of their commander, the White Knight King, and is destroyed by demon krakens. The Winter Prince survives, but his father dies saving the White Knight King, who refuses to take responsibility for his failures and blames them on the late Winter King instead. The southern nations' leaders are disgusted with the White Knight King's behavior and view him with distrust. The Winter Prince becomes the new Winter King and summons Female Knight to lead a new expedition to retake Aurora Island. Before leaving, Crimson Scholar reveals her true identity as the Demon King to Female Knight and asks for her friendship, which is accepted. Hero and the queen reunite during the New Year festival, where he tells her about his plan to liberate Gateway City, and learns that she plans to help her take Aurora Island. They part ways again, with Hero promising to meet her on the battlefield. Elder Sister Maid asks Crimson Scholar about the reason for war, and Crimson Scholar explains its causes. Meanwhile, Black Knight, with the help of fairies, creates frightening illusions that affect the Crusader army's morale and sanity, including their commander in Gateway City. Crimson Scholar offers her assistance to the Winter King and Female Knight at their camp. To counter the Arctic General and his demon army's sea advantage, they build a land bridge using floating icebergs held together by salt. With Female Knight's leadership, they claim the beachhead at Aurora Island. However, they must prepare for a long siege at the Arctic General's fortress. Unexpectedly, Hero arrives at their camp by teleportation, and the Crusader armies arrive from Gateway City. It is revealed that the Crusaders have abandoned the city, and its civilians to the mercenary general of the Eastern Fortress. In command now, the general forms a new government with the city's influential demons to maintain peace. The demons launch one last attack, but Female Knight defeats the Arctic General. The Winter Kingdom celebrates their victory, and rewards Crimson Scholar and Female Knight with titles. Archer tells Hero not to isolate himself and reminds him that he still has friends who care about him. In the second summer, things are getting better for the Winter Kingdom with help from the Crimson Scholar's student, the merchant youngster. The hero, as the Black Knight, heads back to Gateway City for a festival, and eats with the Eastern Fortress General. But things get complicated when the Fire Dragon Princess, daughter of the Archduke Fire Dragon, arrives and claims to be the Black Knight's wife. The Crimson Scholar takes Hero, an elder sister maid, who is now her apprentice, to the Iron Nation to show them the printing press, which will help with human education. One night, the queen tells Female Knight that she is going back to the demon realm for a ritual, and asks her to protect Hero. The queen gives elder sister maid a magical ring to look like her, and attend meetings in her place. Meanwhile, the Crusader commander is sentenced to death for abandoning Gateway City, but the White Kingdom rescues him. Angry at the Winter Kingdom's success, the White King and the commander join forces to plot against them. Young Merchant visits the Crimson Scholar's home, and elder sister maid tries to pretend to be her, but it doesn't work. Hero takes him to the demon realm to show him that Gateway City is now a prosperous city where humans and demons live and work together. The Fire Dragon Princess hosts a banquet for them and offers young Merchant the chance to explore the city's trade if he helps them. Meanwhile, the queen meets Female Magician before going into a ritual chamber, where she tells Headmaid to kill her if she goes insane. Female Knight asks Hero to properly knight her, and he reluctantly agrees. The Winter King is warned by a church representative to hand over the Crimson Scholar, who is accused of heresy and blasphemy by the new pope. Hero comes up with a plan for elder sister maid to pretend to be the scholar and be handed over to the church, but he will later rescue her. The young merchant finds out that the Central Church and nations are falsely accusing Crimson Scholar of heresy because her work is helping the South be independent from the Central's influence. He takes action and enlists the help of one of Scholar's students, the noble youngster. Meanwhile, an emissary from the church arrives to arrest Scholar, but unknowingly takes elder sister maid, who is disguised as the scholar. In front of a big crowd, she is accused of heresy, tortured, and almost executed. However, when she is given the chance to speak, she tells the crowd her story of how she was once a serf and how their deity, the Spirit of Light, gave humans the freedom to choose their own destiny. The crowd becomes angry at the emissary and stones him and his entourage. The Winter King protects the scholar and declares her a saint while calling out the Central Church for their corruption. The emissary vows to seek revenge against the Winter Kingdom. Meanwhile, a blue-skinned demon has visions of elder sister maid, and a mysterious entity is saddened by the current events. The kingdoms in the south band together to stand up against the central nations by ending serfdom and reducing taxes to encourage people to move to the south. The Lakeside Convent separates from the Central Church to form the True Church of the Light Spirit, and their message is spread through pamphlets and bards. Meanwhile, young Merchant starts buying wheat from central nobles with futures contracts to raise food prices. To prevent food shortages, the South enacts trade tariffs and taxes on exports. In Gateway City, the Fire Dragon Princess warns the East Fortress General about the Blue Demon Clan's suspicious behavior. Later, she meets with young Merchant in the human realm to purchase salt as the demons are running out. As Central declares war on the South due to their trade restrictions, Hero asks the Winter King to delay the battle while he tries to find a way to prevent unnecessary violence between both sides. Young Merchant and Fire Dragon Princess discover that the Central nations plan to introduce a new currency to avoid inflation. While Winter King and Hero receive news of an army led by the Blue Demon Clan that has come through the portal from the Demon Realm and is preparing to attack from the south, Hero decides to take on the Blue Demon Clan by himself, allowing the Southern Alliance to focus on defending against the Northern invasion. Along the way, he unexpectedly meets Female Magician. In the Demon Realm, the Queen becomes possessed by the spirits of the ancient demon kings, but despite having her right arm cut off by the Queen, Chief Maid manages to push her back into the chamber. Young Merchant confides in Merchant Youngster about his plan to establish a currency for the southern nations and increase trade with the demon realm. During their conversation, Fire Dragon Princess reveals that she is an envoy of the demons of Gateway City. The Crusader commander leads the White Knight Cavalry in a surprise attack on the east of the Iron Kingdom, seeking revenge for the loss of their serfs to the Winter, Ice, and Iron nations. Despite their best efforts, Warrior Youngster's advanced tactics, learned from Crimson Scholar and Female Knight, prevent the attack from succeeding. After driving away the entire Blue Demon army, Female Magician tells Hero to destroy the magic portal linking both realms. As he makes his way through the demon realm, he discovers that both realms exist in the same world, like two sides of a coin. Meanwhile, Female Knight plans to weaken the Central Army's horses by feeding them spoiled fodder. Hero finally confronts the Queen, but she is still possessed and attacks him. Female Magician meets with Winter King and tells him how to create a medicine for smallpox to make peace with Central. In the demon realm, Hero helps the Queen get rid of the ancient demon kings inside her. As he fixes Chief Maid's arm, he explains what happened since the Queen left the human realm. Meanwhile, Crusader Commander tries to kill Elder Sister Maid, thinking she's Crimson Scholar, but Warrior Youngster saves her and pushes the commander to his death. At the Central Army camp, the mercenaries are unhappy because they're low on food, their horses are sick, and the leaders are fighting over spoils of war instead of attacking the south. A mercenary captain leads a cavalry charge, but Female Knight and her cavalry defend themselves. The Central Army retreats in winter. It turns out that the Blue Demons, along with the Central leaders and Central Church, are the true culprits behind the war, and are planning to start a new crusade against the South using firearms they stole from one of Scholar's collaborators in the Iron Nation. The Queen summons a meeting with other demon leaders, which some demons see as a sign of full-scale war with humans. The southern leaders trade with the demons and supply Central with potatoes. After dinner, the Queen and Chief Maid talk about how they helped humanity and how proud they are of what Elder Sister Maid did. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.